There's a video. It's been circulating the dark web for years. Blurry, unstable footage. A woman screams in the distance. The camera turns just in time to catch something lunging. A shape vaguely human, but wrong. Too fast, too twisted. The clip always ends the same way. Silence, then static. People think it's a hoax. Another creepypasta for internet thrill seekers. But it's not. I know because I was there, and I'm the only one who made it back. This is not just a story, it's a warning. It all began in summer. I was in college, bored, burned out, craving something wild. That's when Jason, my roommate, showed me an invite on a private forum, Deadfest, the ultimate rave. One night only, an unmarked island, zero cell coverage, total freedom dance until death. It sounded insane, but Jason was always into that stuff. Dark web threads, secret parties, cult rumors. He convinced me, and soon 5 of us were in me. Jason, Clara, his sister Nate, and Ava. The boat picked us up at midnight from a foggy pier somewhere off the Oregon coast. The driver was silent. He gave us each a black mask and a wristband, whispering, "Don't take it off until sunrise." The island wasn't what we expected. No stage lights, no music. Just ruins, crumbling buildings covered in vines. Statues of hooded monks lined a cracked stone path. But deeper, in near a collapsed cathedral, we heard the bass drop. The rave had begun. Hundreds of people dancing in trance. Fire pits, painted faces chanting, but something felt off. No one was speaking, no laughter, just movement, mechanical, hypnotized. Then sometime after 2 a.m., the music stopped. Suddenly. And that's when the screaming started. From the shadows of the forest they came. Tall, misshapen figures with pale, stitched skin and eyes that glowed faint red. Someone yelled, "Part of the show," until one of them tore a guy's arm off in front of us. Panic erupted. People ran in every direction, only to find the paths barricaded. Some tried to swim. They didn't make it. Clara grabbed my hand. "We need to go now." We found shelter in a crumbling monastery building. Inside were old books, dusty relics, and bloodstains. Nate, who studied theology, pieced it together. The island once housed a heretical sect. They believed death wasn't the end, that through ritual you could return. They were wiped out centuries ago, but legend said they cursed the land, vowing to return every blood moon. That night was a blood moon. Jason disappeared around 3:30 a.m. We found his mask near an altar smeared with blood. Ava broke down. Clara tried to keep us together. Then Nate started muttering Latin phrases. He said he understood now, that they weren't evil, just hungry. We thought it was shock, but his nose started bleeding. His eyes rolled back, and then he attacked us. It wasn't Nate anymore. Something else had taken root in him. We fought him off and barricaded ourselves in a basement. That's when we discovered the truth. On the walls were carvings, names, hundreds of them. People who had attended past raves. The earliest dated back to 1983. This wasn't a one-time event. It was a cycle. Every 20 years, the cult lured people in. Young, free-spirited digital ghosts. No paper trail, no bodies. They became vessels, offerings, and the island fed on them. At dawn, the fog lifted. Only Clara and I remained bloodied, broken. We found the docks. The boat was there, but as we approached, Clara stopped. She heard a voice, Jason's faint calling from the trees. She ran toward it before I could stop her. I never saw her again. I waited on that dock, 5 minutes 10. I knew I should go after her, but something in my bones screamed, no. I took the boat. I left her. I live with that. That was 5 years ago. I never told anyone, never went back. Moved states. Changed my name. But last week I got a package inside a black mask and a note. Deadfest returns, one night only. We've been waiting for you. Now my younger brother is missing. If you're watching this, don't go, don't look it up. Burn the invite if it comes. Because the truth is, no one ever really leaves the island. Not all of them die. Some of them come back. They say trauma fades over time. They're wrong. Every time I close my eyes, I still see Clara's face as she ran into the fog, into the voice that wasn't Jason's. I left her, but now I'm going back. Not because I want to, because I have to. My brother's missing, and the black mask they sent me still smells like the fire pit from that night I hired a boat under a fake name. Nobody wanted to go near the coordinates I gave until I found an old fisherman who stared at me too long, then simply said, "Dead Fest?" I nodded. He didn't ask questions, just rowed. The island looked different, or maybe I was seeing it without the trance this time. The trees looked more twisted, the statues more decayed. Some of them had faces, familiar faces. My heart stopped when I saw one with Clara's features. As I moved deeper, I noticed something new. They had rebuilt the cathedral. It was pristine marble walls, flickering torches, banners made of stitched fabric. Or was it skin inside? Dozens of people danced, just like before, but they weren't people. Their movements were too perfect, too synchronized. I saw my brother among them, eyes blank, lips smiling, and chained at the altar was Clara, still alive. Barely a voice echoed from the altar steps. A man in red robes stepped forward. He didn't walk, he floated. He said my name. "You were always meant to return. Every vessel must complete its cycle." He called me the Awakened, but said the ones who escape carry part of the island with them. That's why the island let me leave, so I could bring others back. I was the lure now. He offered me a choice. Rejoin the dance or take her place on the altar. I chose a third option. I lunged for Clara, cut her chains. The cultists screamed. My brother stepped forward, emotionless, blocking us. I hesitated, then I whispered his name. Tommy. His hand trembled. That's when the torches went out. The island shook, and everything went black. I woke up in a rowboat alone. Clara was gone, so was Tommy. No bruises, no blood, just a black mask in my lap, and the rebuilt cathedral visible far behind me, glowing faintly. I don't know if I escaped or if this is just part of the island now. But I do know one thing, it's not over. Because last night I saw Clara again on my street. She didn't blink, and she was wearing a mask. I woke up in a rowboat alone. Clara was gone, so was Tommy. No bruises, no blood, just a black mask in my lap, and the rebuilt cathedral visible far behind me, glowing faintly. I don't know if I escaped or if this is just part of the island now, but I do know one thing, it's not over. Because last night I saw Clara again on my street. She didn't blink, and she was wearing a mask. One by one, people I know start disappearing, then they come back. But different. They hum songs that I heard on the island. They watch me. My apartment lights flicker with red hues at night. I get phone calls from unknown numbers, always dead air, until one day a whisper, "Blood moon in 3 days." I try to tell the police. They look at me with the same expression, too calm, too knowing. There's a flyer on my door. The next day, Dead Fest, now coming to your city. New host, new harvest. And the poster, it has my face on it. I go to the address on the flyer. It's an abandoned theater, but inside, it's alive. The stage is the altar. The crowd is chanting. And in the center, Clara. Her voice is louder now. She says, "I'm no longer the vessel. I'm the conduit." She says the island is not a place. It's a consciousness. It moves through belief, through fear, and now through me. They never needed the land. They just needed a crack in the veil. And I was it. The show begins. This will be my last recording. If you're watching this, don't search for Dead Fest. Don't click the links. Don't watch the footage, because that's how it spreads, through screens, through sound, through stories. Like this one. If you've heard it, it's already too late. I tried to destroy it. I burned the mask. I smashed the tapes. I moved cities, changed names, disconnected everything. But last night I saw my own reflection blink at me, and I wasn't blinking. I tracked the origins of Deadfest through old forums, encrypted archives, deleted Reddit threads. Turns out the island was never real in a physical sense. It was a space carved out by fear, a psychic pocket, a ritual consciousness, born centuries ago by a cult called the Breathless Choir. Their purpose to awaken something ancient that feeds not on blood but on attention. Every person who watches the footage, every person who listens to the screams becomes a node, a mouthpiece. That's why it's always filmed. It's not a party. It's a broadcast. I returned to the abandoned theater, but it was empty now. Rotted, decayed, except for one chair in the center, facing a screen. And on that screen, it played me screaming. Running, choosing to leave Clara. Then a whisper behind me. You left her, but she didn't leave you. I turned, she was there, not Clara. Something wearing Clara. It said the island didn't need land anymore. The world is the island now. The bandwidth is the ritual circle. And I was their prophet. I screamed. It smiled. I woke up in my apartment, or something that looked like it. But there were no windows, no doors, just a camera. Blinking red, a timer ticking down, and on the wall, written in what looked like dried blood. Tonight, the broadcast begins. I'm not in control anymore. If you're seeing this, do not share this video, because if you do, the island wakes up inside you next. It's 11:44 p.m. 16 minutes to midnight. The air feels heavier than it should, like something's pressing on reality itself. The screen in front of me flashes names, viewers logging in. Over 70,000 now, all watching my feed. And with each new viewer, the shadows in the corner of the room get closer. They're all here now. Jason, Clara, Nate, even Tommy. They look alive, but their smiles are too wide. Their eyes don't blink, they whisper in unison. Thank you for bringing them. I ask what happens at midnight. Jason steps forward and places the black mask on my face. Then we go live. The walls begin to melt, not with heat, but with memory. Every scream I ever heard, every choice I made, every life I failed to save. It loops again and again. I try to resist, but the screen shows my face changing. Skin cracking, eyes blackening. They weren't after my life. They were after my story, because stories last longer than flesh. They become rituals. It's midnight now. The screen flashes one final phrase. We are live, and then everything goes black. Silence until your screen flickers. You might think this was just a story, but tell me, how long have you been listening? Have you checked your reflection lately? Has it blinked when you didn't? Welcome to the island. You're part of the broadcast now.